So this is round two of the Jerry Spann Memorial Tournament in Oklahoma City. I just come off hot off my first win in round one against the 1900. And in round two, I'm now paired up against one of the highest rated players in the tournament, William Orton III, and he is rated 2200. And I believe up to this point, this was the highest rated opponent I've ever played before. However, I will say he is an older gentleman, so I did think I had some okay chances to maybe surprise him. If the game got tactical, I thought maybe I could outcalculate him and maybe pose a threat to him. So anyways, let's just begin the game. He started off, why is it not going? He started off e4. I responded with my Sicilian defense. Sorry about that. c5. He went for the Alapin variation with c3, trying to play d4 and occupy the center with two pawns. I, of course, can't let him do that. I play knight f6, attacking the pawn on e4. He pushes e5, played knight d5. He goes knight f3. I play d6. He goes d4. I capture, and in this position, he actually threw in the in-between capture on d6. And I have the option now if I want to capture with the queen, or what I liked better in the game is playing this move e6 to recapture with the bishop. I thought this was stronger because I really don't want my queen to be on d6. Say he captures with the knight, I always have to be worried about something coming to b5 and hitting the queen. So instead, I do it this way. And right here, he kind of surprised me recapturing with the knight, because usually in the Alapin positions, you want to capture with the pawn, get the c3 square for your knight, and then we have a standard isolated queen-pawn position where, yes, black has this nice blockading knight, but my bishop also can't come out, and you have a lot of space. You have this strong pawn on d4 that you can outpost your knight and maybe use the extra space to maybe get an attack. So you can imagine something like some battery like this. So it really shocked me whenever he took with the knight. I just felt like that was not really in the spirit of the position to play like that. But alas, he did play like that. I recaptured, and he developed his bishop to e2. I castled, he castled, and I played knight c6, developing to the center. And I thought after this capture, which he did end up playing in the game, and b captures, I thought this position was pretty good for black. I now have access to the open b file. My queen can come out to b6 in some position, or a5. I have the two bishops. I thought this was just a good position for black, and white still has problems on his back rank. And he played bishop f3, tried to improve the position of the bishop, but I'm not really worried about him taking ever, because if he takes, I get to undouble my pawn. But I guess what he wants to do is he wants to push c4 and force my knight to move and then take on c6 in some positions. So right here, I play bishop a6, developing with a tempo against the rook. He plays rook e1. I play rook b8, trying to make it harder for him to get his bishop out. He plays queen a4, attacking my bishop and attacking the pawn here, this double attack. I play queen b6, just holding everything together. And then he goes knight to d2. And at this moment, this is where I had my first big think in the game. The first move I looked at was bishop to c5, just threatening the pawn. But I didn't like that this knight e4 move came with tempo, hitting the bishop and defending this, and also opening up his bishop. I thought that in this line, he just solved all of his problems at once, and I probably would have to go back to e7. And I didn't really like that. I wanted to play for more. The second move I looked at was bishop to d3. But again, I wasn't so sure about the position after this move. knight to c4, and I didn't really want to take and just give up my bishop pair for no reason. So I kept thinking and thinking and thinking, trying to make other moves work, but after I couldn't make those two works, I eventually fixate on this idea: bishop takes h2, king takes h2, and queen takes f2. Attacking, and I noticed this, attacking the rook. He cannot play rook to f1 because my bishop will snap. And what I had calculated was bishop takes f2, king takes f2, or queen takes f2, queen e4, and knight to f4. And I couldn't really understand what was going on in this position, but I thought I had some ideas of maybe getting my knight to d3, maybe putting a rook on the d file, and I thought I always had some decent chances with his queen being so weak with the perpetual. And the engine's not convinced. It says this is just not that great for black after a move like queen e3, queen h4 check, and king g1, and it says that black just does not have enough for the piece. But alas, he actually takes my bishop on a6, giving up the exchange. I take on e1, and then he plays queen back, trying to force a queen trade. I play queen h4 check, he plays king g1, and here I had another very, very long think, and let me turn off the engine. At first I was looking at knight e3, and I thought he would go queen f2, just trying to trade off queens, and I thought if I snapped here and played knight c2, I was trying to make this work, but after rook b1, I couldn't see a way forward here, and thought my knight could potentially even get trapped. So after not being able to make that work, I was able to make knight f4 work. It's because now after queen f2, we trade. This time it is with check. And say he goes back somewhere, I can then take either on bt or I can take on d1. So a position like this, I thought was very, very promising for black. In fact, I thought black was even better in this position. Or instead of taking the bishop, I also looked at taking on b2. But instead, he just brings his knight forward, which was a better move, not allowing all that stuff. And I really was having a hard time making a move. I considered moves like rook b5, just trying to swing my rook into the attack, but in fact, I can't even bring it. Even if I got my rook to b5, I can't actually bring it to the square or the square because his knight and bishop are covering it. And he's also just threatening to take my knight, and then I will just be down another attacker. So I thought I had to play very energetically here. And I play f5, just attacking the knight. And I thought if he took my knight, I could take here, and now his bishop's hanging, and both bishops are hanging. So that would not work. Oh wait, actually it would, because after this, he does have this move where he takes on b8. And if I take back, let's say, maybe he brings his bishop back. Okay, I thought this was a promising position, but instead he inserts this move, g3, just trying to fork my two pieces. And at first I wanted to make this move work, but I dismissed it because after king h2, I have no discovered checks, and because my queen is being attacked, and I would just lose my knight. So I ended up having to go back to e7 here. And again, I saw this line, bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes on b8, pawn takes on f3. And I saw this position and I was really optimistic about this. Like, yes, I'm down a piece, but I have a couple of pawns. His dark squares are a bit weak. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still down a piece. In fact, the engine, I think, shows this move, this line. Bishop f4, f2 check, queen takes, and then this funny move, g5, and it wins back the piece. Play can continue. Rook e1, g captures on f4, g captures back on f4, and yeah, that's probably about equal. But instead, he takes my knight. I then take back. He takes here, and I was getting very optimistic here because his king is wide open. I looked at playing queen h4 immediately, but I didn't know how to continue after the move queen f2. Right, I could give him a check, but then he can always just bring his bishop back. And I saw I had this check, but somehow white is just holding this all together. So I didn't like that. So I really wanted to bring another attacker. So I decided, hey, I'm going to play rook f6, trying to swing my rook over to h6. My opponent plays queen to c4, trying to put pressure on the long diagonal, and I play king to h8. So the reason I played king to h8 is I was worried about a position. Say I go queen or rook h6 immediately. I was worried about this move f5, where he is attacking my rook and also threatening to take. Here with check, forcing the queen trade. But I had actually just overlooked this move, rook to h4, and say now he tries to go for the queen trade, the bishop actually hangs at the end. So I had missed this idea. So I was scared of that idea. So instead of playing the natural rook to h3, I played king to h8. My opponent just decided to play b3 so he can maybe try to get his bishop out and not have to worry about my rook coming into b2. And right here, again, I wanted to play this rook h3 move, but I just didn't see that after this move that I had rook h5. So which again, I don't have this. He's threatening to take here. I was trying to make this work, but then I just lose here. So yeah, so I didn't know what to do. I was looking at other moves like rook d8, just trying to put my rook maybe on this file. But I thought after, say I played rook d8, he would just go bishop e3. And all the squares are covered. My rook's not going to come in. So I had this idea of playing rook to f8 and then sacrificing the exchange on f4, thinking maybe I can mate him here. And I had miscalculated here because I thought after I did the exchange sacrifice and he took on c6 and I played queen to g5 check, bishop to g2 obviously blocking, I missed the fact that he's actually threatening back rank checkmate on me with the queen, because in the previous position my rook was on f8, it was covering the back rank. So I had missed this idea completely, and I just don't have an attack, like he's just defending here. So I'm just down a piece and his king is well defended. So I have to drop my rook back to stop any back rank. He played rook e1. I bring my queen in. I want to try to threaten some perpetuals right here. And he plays queen e4. Better would have been to just play rook f1 immediately. The idea being after queen e3, king h2, queen h6 check. He can actually block with the bishop. And then after queen d2 check, this is the key move. He has queen g2. He told me in the game he dismissed the move because he didn't see this line where at the very end that he had queen g2 holding everything together. So he instead played queen e4. And in this position, it's a dead draw after queen f2, king h1, and rook f4. So he has nothing better to do than play queen a8 check, rook back to f1, and we repeat moves and make a draw. So honestly, of all the games I played in the tournament, this was probably my most unprofessional kind of game. I just kind of went for the speculative bishop h2 move. I thought I was going to get a good attack. Instead, I should have probably just kept it more solid and played more reasonable looking moves. I got too excited and I let the nerves get to me. But luckily, my opponent didn't defend well, and I was able to make a draw in this game. And this is probably my highest rated draw ever. So I was really happy regardless going into the next round, and I thought I had good chances to progress even further in the tournament after this game. So if you stayed till the end of the video, I appreciate you watching my game, and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from them. And you guys all have a good evening.